Welcome to today's workshop. My name is Barbara Tyler, and I'm excited to lead this class called 10 Habits of Success. Together, we will look at 10 proven tips, tools, and behaviors to empower you to reach your goals to be more successful in your lives. Let's begin exploring what I have found in my 2 careers, my research, and my many years of teaching about habits of success. My first choice for a habit of success, the best place to start, is to have clear, focused goals and a vision that you're passionate about. When you know your goals and your vision, your life will have more purpose, focus, direction. You will have more hope and confidence for a new and brighter future. Studies have found that you are 40% more likely to succeed if you have written goals. 40% gives you a big advantage. That's why it's our first habit of success. Setting personal goals is really about authoring your future, about making a new and better life of your own making. If you want to learn more about specific tips and techniques for goal setting and visioning, I will refer you to a video that I produced on this topic. It will be referenced at the end of today's workshop. With me today are 2 fabulous women, Cherise Fonts and Alexandra Kennedy. During the video, I will explain the top 10 habits of success, and they will tell you how they apply in their lives. First, let's meet Alexandra Kennedy. Alex, would you tell us a little about yourself and how visioning and goal setting has helped your life?
I met Barbara about 4 years ago when she was teaching classes for a program called WANDA. That program helped to empower single moms in the community. Back then, I was in community college. My son was just a couple years old, and I was working towards creating a better life for both him and myself. Now, just 2 days ago, I graduated my master's program at Stanford University. When I first started community college, my only goal was just get your foot in the door at school, just start. But once I was there, I realized that I needed clear and focused goals in order to allow me to graduate. I knew that I needed to have a vision in order to succeed. So I started writing down my goals, and I was really clear about my vision. If I didn't have clear goals and a clear idea of where I wanted to get, I wouldn't have been able to make much progress.
Alex, thank you so much. That was a perfect example of how setting goals can empower a life, your life. Great job. Our second habit of success today is to create visuals for your goals. Just like the saying goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words, or out of sight, out of mind. Very wise observation. This is why our second habit of success is to keep goals visual. A study out of Purdue has found that 65% of what we learn is visual, 40% is oral or what we hear, and 5% is kinesthetic, what we feel. If 65% of what we learn is visual, that gives you a huge advantage when you keep your goals visual. A related study has found that our minds process pictures and photos much more readily than words and phrases. This habit is telling you, if you want to be successful, you want to achieve your goals, then keep them visual. Let me comment on a couple of visual tools that might help you. First, don't underestimate charts and graphs. They are great reminders of your progress, and they'll help you to stay focused. Here are some great visuals. The first is one of my students who drew a picture of what she would look like on the day that she graduates from college. The second is a graph showing progress paying off debt in 5 years. It says 5-year goal, be debt free in 5 years. And look at the sides. It says stay positive, focus, sacrifice. This visual is a powerful tool that this woman will use to reach her goals. Here are 3 women with their visual displays. The woman on the left is holding her visual that is called a storyboard. She has cut and pasted pictures of various images that represent what she wants her life to look like in 1 to 2 years. The middle woman is holding a graph of her 5-year savings program that we just reviewed. And the woman on the right is showing us her visual of a 3-year savings program. She also included a visual tribute to her future graduation from college. Well done. Next, let me introduce another amazing woman, Cherise Fonts. Cherise, tell us a little about your story, and then share how having visual tools has helped you reach your goals.
Visual tools were introduced into my life at a time where I was homeless with 2 kids and pregnant with a third. I was living in the homeless shelter and I had a time limit. I had a 3-month time limit and needed to find a job in order to get into some type of housing. And so at a very key point in my life, visual tools came in to really help amplify the goals that I had, which were get a job, get out of the shelter, get a permanent housing so when I birth my baby, I can bring her home to a place that's not the shelter. So visual tools really did help with the guiding and the accountability and just the motivation to keep me focused while I was trying to accomplish these goals. And throughout my life, I've continued to use them. My kids continue to use them. And it's a really great way to amplify success, go into the creation and manifestation mode. And it's really taken a beautiful part of what I know to be true inside myself and express it creatively in order to create success for me. So where I am now is I have 2 companies that I manage. One is a nonprofit. One is helping companies create more humanity in the workplace. And I've used visual tools to accomplish all of that. So that is how visual tools have played a part in my life. And that's a little bit about my story.
Cherise, thank you for that inspiring example of how visuals can empower our goals and our lives. Our third habit of success is to tell someone your goals. Now, we know that goals begin when you write them down. But did you know that when your real commitment begins, it's when you tell someone? When you share your goals, when you get it outside of yourself, they start to become more real. They start to take on a life of their own. Now, here's some advice. Choose wisely who you tell. Tell someone who is positive, who will encourage you, and who believes in you. Avoiding telling someone who will criticize you, because criticism saps your energy and dims your motivation. You see, setting goals by definition involves change. You're here, you want to be there, you're taking on something new. You may be excited about it, but there may be a risk. You may feel somewhat vulnerable. That makes who you tell your goal to even more important. The person you choose to tell your goal to will impact your future. Fourth habit of success: ask for help, get support. Habit number 3 was to tell someone your goals. That puts you on the path of success. Habit number 4 takes this concept to a deeper level. You actually ask for help and get support. Some years ago, Malcolm Gladwell had a best-selling book called Outliers, where he studied people who were exceptional. They stood out in their field. Malcolm's study found that one of the top qualities of successful people, they asked for help. He also said, don't try to do it alone. I know that I'm often hesitant to ask for help. So if Malcolm were here today, he would say to me and to you, asking for help is a strength, not a weakness. So let's look at some sources for getting support. My first suggestion on where to get support is something called informational interviews. That's where you ask for help from someone who's walked the path before you. So let's say that you want to become a bookkeeper or a tech support person. Ask for an appointment with someone who already has that job and ask them the questions. How did you get this job? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And then I love this question. If you were going to start over, what would you do differently? Next, advisors and mentors. If you're a college student or want to go to college, career placement officers or college counselors are available to you, so ask them for support and help. Sometimes coworkers or your boss can give you advice on how to advance your career, so ask them. Then there's YouTube videos and podcasts. For heaven's sakes, they can tell you how to nail a job interview or pay off your debt. On and on. Very useful tool. So asking for support can reduce mistakes, wasted time, and frustration. Alex, please share with us who you share your goals with and about a time where you asked for support.
I have hundreds of people in my life, but I really only share my goals and my visions with the most supportive and caring person in my life, which is my sister. She's really encouraging to me, and I'm able to share any dream I have with her, and it's met with optimism and acceptance and oftentimes excitement. So I really recommend finding someone in your life who completely supports whatever it is you want to do and helps talk to you about how you might get from point A to point B. I'll give you an example of a time that I asked for help. I was interning at a company during graduate school, and I had interviewed a woman who worked there who was doing a job that I would one day love to do. After my internship was over, I reached out to her and asked her if she would mind talking to me about how I could apply for the same position that she's in. Not only was she receptive and excited to help me in any way she could, she offered to help me practice when I got an interview. I've found in my life that it really has helped me when I've reached out and asked for support.
Alex, beautiful example. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pause the video and answer 2 questions. The first question is, I will tell my goals to whom? It could be one person, it could be more than one person. It could be different people for different goals. The second question, I will ask these people for support for these things. Again, it can be family, friends, bosses, coworkers. Who are you going to ask for support? Pause the video and write down the answers to these 2 questions. Welcome back. I hope that you have identified some great people to share your goals with and to get support. 5th habit of success. Take action 1 step at a time. Don't just set a goal and then sit on the fence. As the saying goes, you have to get out of the bleachers and onto the playing field. You've got to step out there. You've got to take a risk. There is a book called Luck is No Accident by Dr. Crumbles from Stanford. It speaks to this habit, taking action 1 step at a time. These are some quotes from Dr. Crumboltz. If you do nothing, nothing will happen. It's very simple, but a powerful sentence. If you want to accomplish something, you've got to step out and actually start doing it. Another tip, you make things happen by the actions you take. If your goal is to save money for an emergency fund, then here's a couple of key action steps. Open a separate bank account and make a chart and color it in each time you add to your savings. Because you're active, things will happen. You see, when you're in action, the momentum that you've already developed will carry you forward. That's very encouraging. Lastly, Dr. Crumboltz says, be open, be curious. He says to make the most of life's unexpected circumstances. The message, habit number 5, is saying to you, put yourself out there. Your actions will expand what's possible. Charisse will share a quotation with us, and then she's going to tell us how it applies in her life.
Here's a quote from Conrad Hilton. Success seems to be connected with action. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they don't quit. That quote is so important in all areas of my life, specifically when I was homeless. If I didn't move and take action, if I didn't drop my kids off at the daycare and go down to the computer lab and apply for jobs day in and day out, there would have been no momentum, no movement for me to get out of the situation that I was in. But I did that. I created the action for myself. The other thing is I kept moving. I was discouraged. I'm like, no one's going to hire me at 5 months pregnant, but I kept moving. And I made mistakes. I was not perfect on interviews. And some of them, I told them that I was pregnant and I didn't get the job, which was fine. But I was able to make mistakes and learn from them and keep moving. This quote is so instrumental, and it really does accompany these habits of success.
Charisse, thank you. That really nailed how action makes a real difference to success. 6th habit of success. This is also a very powerful habit of success. Review your goals and make adjustments. This is probably the least known habit of success, but I think it's a very important one. You see, setting goals is a continuous process, not a one-time event. Let me say that again because I think it's very powerful. Setting goals is a continuous process, not a one-time event. Asking yourself, how am I doing? What can I do next? What can I do better? What did I learn? These questions will stimulate creative answers. Without review, your goals can be lost in daily life. Here are some practical tips for reviewing your goals. First, find someone to be your accountability person. Ask them if they will meet with you regularly to discuss the progress on your goals and to make changes. Use the same common sense for choosing this person as you did who you share your goals with. Another tip about your accountability person, they can have similar goals or different. That is not critical. Schedule the meetings with your accountability person in advance. They could be biweekly, monthly, but no longer than quarterly. Meet in person if possible, or via Zoom or FaceTime. Here are some tips for the agenda with your accountability person. First, evaluate your results without blame. This is my goal. This is what I did. This is my goal. This is what I did. Secondly, if you tried something and it didn't work, ask yourself, what did I learn? What could I do better? And move on. Third, brainstorm new ideas and revise your plan. Remember, Dr. Crumboltz said that one of the keys to success is to keep your eyes open for new ideas. At the end of your review, ask yourself, what goals can I realistically do in the new time frame? And what would my A priority items be? It's the review of your goals, it's the ideas that you add that will keep your vision alive. Here is a photo of two women who were accountability buddies to each other. They would meet monthly, share their progress, and then reset goals for the upcoming month. Alex has two quotations that she's going to share with us, and she'll tell us what they mean in her life.
The first one is, do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better, by Maya Angelou. The second one is, be clear about your goal, but be flexible about the process of achieving it, by Brian Tracy. This is something I think is really exciting. It is extremely important to have goals, but it's also important to continue to revisit them as you progress through your life. You may have great goals right now, but you might learn something new or get a new idea. And that's why it's so important to review your goals and make adjustments.
Thank you, Alex. That was brilliant. Our seventh habit of success is rewards and celebrations. Now, don't take this section lightly. Rewarding yourself for achieving your goals is not frivolous. Studies out of Stanford have found that one of the key ways to strengthen a new behavior is through rewards and celebrations. They also found that rewards need to be new and different to keep your brain interested in change. Oprah put it this way: celebrate what you want to see more of. Other studies have found that if you're taking on something big, something that's scary for you, one of the best ways to overcome fear is by celebrating each little step forward. So celebrations and rewards help us change in positive ways and help us to move forward with more confidence. Well, what qualifies for a reward anyway? Dinner, coffee, a picnic, a hike? They all can be a reward if you say it is. And rewards can cost money or be free. An example could be to invite a friend for coffee and let them know that you're celebrating reaching X goal. That coffee becomes a celebration because you said it was. Social interactions are a huge source of reward. It's interesting that studies have found that celebrating with someone else will have a more lasting effect than going out and buying a gift for yourself. So my advice, celebrate with others. And exercise can be a reward. If you're a student and you finished half of your term paper, go for a bike ride or a hike with family and friends. That can become a celebration of your progress. Celebrations and rewards give you a sense of accomplishment, confidence, and energy to take the next step. Alex is going to share with us how rewards and celebrations have helped her reach her goals.
I always know what I'm going to do to celebrate while I'm still working on something, so it motivates me the whole time. And usually my celebrations and rewards are centered around food, either having people over for a nice meal that we all get to cook together or going out to a really nice restaurant. And my son and I will often go for a bike ride or a hike or go to the beach for the day.
Alex, thank you. That was beautifully said. Eighth habit of success, positive attitude. On a scale of 0 to 10, how important do you think attitude is? If you said 10, you're right on. I think it might even be 12. Attitude is a huge key to reaching your goals. Did you know that your attitude can actually be felt by those near you? Our bodies send out vibrations that can be felt 8 to 10 feet away. So if you're angry, it can be felt. If you're happy, they sense that as well. So keep that in mind. Your fellow workers, your boss, your children, your friends can feel your attitude. Stay aware because your attitude really does walk in the door with you. Charisse and I will share several quotations about attitude and show how they have a positive effect on our lives.
Here's a quote from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. I've heard this quote so many times. It reminds me of something, so a man thinks, so he becomes. I really do believe that this quote is the genesis of really laying out what we do and how we do something. There's also something that comes to mind when I think about this. I think about Bob Marley. None but ourselves can free our minds. And it's so true. It all starts in our minds. And so as you think, you become. This quote is so instrumental because your habits really do start inside. The second quote that I'm going to read is from Abe Lincoln. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or we can rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. This is about perspective. I really love this quote because you can always change your perspective no matter what situation that you are in. I could have looked at myself as just this homeless woman that couldn't do anything, or I looked at myself as I'm homeless, but I can do anything. And that really changed everything for me. That level of optimism mixed with some realist of what your situation is really going to help accompany you as you go through these steps and habits of success.
Thank you, Charisse. I have chosen 2 quotations to share with you and how they apply in my life. The first is by Janice Kaplan. She says, I can't change what happened to me, so I changed how I think about it. Very wise. And the second is by Reverend Charles Swindoll. Life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I respond. Now, these quotes mean a lot to me personally because some years ago I had breast cancer. And it was no fun at all. So I teach this message. I realized I needed to practice what I preach. I don't mean I wasn't scared, that I wasn't sick, that I didn't have some negative reactions to treatments. But I kept telling myself that cancer was only 10% what happened to me. And I kept my mind focused on what I was grateful for. My husband, my friends, my family, my medical team, and my faith. That was my 90%. And I'm grateful, I'm happy to say, I am a 14-year cancer survivor. 9th habit of success, intend to win, grit. I love this quote. Run your own race with the intention of winning. It tells you to focus on your own goals. It's running your own race. You see, comparing yourself with others can be defeating. So run your own race with the intention of winning. I would advise you to tell yourself frequently, I got this. Then break your goals down into small steps and remember to celebrate your progress. Keep going until you cross the finish line. That's perseverance. There is a well-known professor at Stanford named Angela Duckworth. She has carefully researched what it takes to be successful. Angela's research found that the best predictor for success is not IQ, it's not income, it's not the education of your parents. She found that it's grit. And Angela defines grit as passion and perseverance. Now, you've worked hard to write your goals, so put some passion, some energy behind them. Charisse, What is your advice on this habit of grit and perseverance?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind are how seasons change. For example, you can hear the birds. It's spring. That also indicates that things are changing and seasons change, which means our resilience for certain things are really important. Our grit and perseverance plays into that. So when I think about grit, I think about those moments of just pushing through a little bit harder. And perseverance reminds me again of resilience. How resilient? What are the coping mechanisms that you've created over the years to really help with disappointment, failure, making mistakes? My youngest is 2. He doesn't have a lot of different coping mechanisms. He's not very resilient at this point. His coping mechanism is to cry. As we get older, we learn that there are different ways to cope with things, and your grit and perseverance are really tied and accompany that. So, just like seasons changing, recognizing that and really understanding that your grit and perseverance will really tie into the resiliency that you've created, and these habits tie in very perfect.
Cherise, thank you. If there's anyone that can talk about perseverance and grit, it's you. Thank you. Well, everybody, we are almost ready to cross the finish line. You have stuck with this. You are going to be winners because you're now at habit number 10. Good on you. Number 10, 10th habit of success: courage, commitment, and integrity. Setting goals and stepping out there takes courage. It's only natural to feel fear when we're taking on a change in our lives. How big the change is will directly affect how fearful you are. Here's some advice from Abe Lincoln and Warren Buffett about how to build courage and stay strong. They say that involves commitment and integrity. Listen to what Abe Lincoln has to say. Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. Commitment is what transforms a promise. That's your dreams, that's your goals, that's your vision for yourself. He says your commitment is what will transform that into reality. Now, commitment is giving your word, and that goes hand in hand with integrity. Integrity is not only saying you'll do something, but making sure you do it. Keeping your word builds a strong reputation as a trustworthy person, and your reputation is going to follow you wherever life takes you. So if you say that you're going to get a paper to your professor by next Tuesday, or you'll pay your bills by the 10th of the month, or you'll have a meeting with your boss at 4 o'clock, show up prepared for that meeting. Arrive on time. Keep your word. That's integrity. My father used to say to me, no one can give away your integrity but yourself. Wise advice. Wise father. I miss him. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in the world, recently said that the key to success is honor your commitments with integrity. Honesty and integrity are always rewarded. When you are able to maintain your own highest standards of integrity, regardless of what others may do, you are destined for greatness. That summarizes habit number 10 perfectly. Let's hear from Alex and Cherise on what their main takeaways are from today's workshop.
If any of these concepts made sense to you today, but you're not quite sure how to get started, or for example, maybe you're too shy to ask for help, or you're not used to checking in with yourself about your goals and reevaluating them on a regular basis, let me tell you this. If you want to get from where you are right now to this beautiful place over here that you've imagined, these are the instructions. This is how you do it. These are the habits of successful people. So reread through these, get comfortable with them, and practice them as much as you can in your life, and you'll be able to do great things.
One main takeaway that I have is remembering that life is not linear. And these habits of success are guides to help you get to where you want to go. As Alex and I have shared bits and parts of our story, I hope that you are finding some encouragement in that. We weren't always where we are, and you won't always be where you are right now. But just know that these guideposts, as these habits of success, are really there to encourage you. As humans, we have not lived on this planet enough to use the word impossible. So know that everything is possible. It starts with a habit. What habit do you want to build? What thing do you want to change? I know, and I haven't even met you, that you can do this because I've done this. Alex have done this. And we are here to encourage you. So go for it. Whatever it is that you're trying to do in your life, use these habits as guideposts because I know that you can do it. Nothing is impossible.
A huge thank you to Charisse and Alex. You are amazing women. Your sharing has given us empowering inspiration and hope. I am deeply grateful for your partnership, encouragement, and support producing today's video. Before closing, I wanted to remind you that if you want to know more about goal setting and visioning, there will be a link to a video that Charisse and Alex and I produced on this topic. It will be in the reference section at the end of this video. To our viewers, thank you for being with us today. May your lives be stronger, your wins be bigger as a result of watching this video. Blessings to all.